Builds have gotten super easy in the last couple of years. Even within the time I've been flying, I've noticed things like shifting to 4-in-1 ESCs and D-Shot becoming the standard, so we no longer need to calibrate them. Also, the firmwares have gotten better across the board, so things like tuning, pitch tuning and stuff is definitely become a lot easier. Now, to prove this, I thought I would try and do the easiest build that I could think of. To help with that, T-Motor sent me this F7 HD flight controller. So I figured we would pair that with a T-Motor ESC and an air unit. And with this combo, the amount of soldering that you have to do is kind of trending towards zero. The only thing left is the XT60 and the motor wires. Everything else is these little plugs. T-Motor have even been kind enough to label the plugs, so it should be pretty impossible to get it wrong. You know what though, if ESCs did come with the XT60 already soldered, that would improve things a lot, because that still is kind of, I think, the most annoying thing that you have to solder. So here's the components. We've got the iFlight DC5 HD frame, we've got the F7 HD flight controller, the 55 amp 4-in-1 ESC, both T-Motor, DJI air unit, and the T-Motor Velox 2550 kV motors. And when I see it all like this, it does kind of look ridiculously simple. There's very few components and everything is very simple to put together. Now, when you look at the cost of all this, you can see that this is not really a budget build as such. You can certainly get builds for far cheaper, and that includes digital builds as well. But T-Motor stuff has a history of reliability, so the stack especially, I'm pretty sure would last you a very long time. In keeping with the easiest build ever, I'm also going to be using this, which is the DJI radio. Now this means that you don't have to solder an external receiver into the build. You can just piggyback off the video signal and it's all included in the air unit. So thank you to Unmantech for lending me their radio. I don't actually own this, I'm just borrowing it. Now, while these do save you $30 per build, I do think that they're a little bit overpriced, because they will cost you around about 300 sheets, which is a little pricey when most modern radios now are between 130 and 150, and it is quite a basic radio. Still, we're going to use it because it's in keeping with the whole easiest build thing. This frame even comes with an assembly guide, which you very rarely see these days with frames. And it only has 6 steps, so easiest build ever. So the DC in DC5, I think, stands for dead cat. I didn't really realize this when I brought the frame, but it is a dead cat style arm layout, where the front 2 arms are kind of straight. And what that does is it means that it keeps the props and the arms out of the view of the camera. So you can run low camera angle and you can record from the FPV camera and you won't have any props in view. Let's get on to the electronics. This feels really weird to me, that we don't need to do any soldering on the flight controller at all. We do have to do a little bit of soldering on the ESC, so let's do that. So this is the T-Motor Velox 2207 2550 kV. This is what it looks like. It is a T-Motor motor, but it is cheap. This was only £12.50 per motor. And if you know anything about motors, some spare bells cost about £12.50. So to get a full motor for that price is awesome. And if it's the same quality as other T-Motor motors, this seems like a no-brainer. Probably the first hiccup in the build actually that I've come across. Fitting these antennas onto the back, you kind of have to do it before you put the TPU around the air unit, although it doesn't tell you to do that in the instructions. So I've kind of wedged it all in and now I can't get the antennas in, so I'm going to have to undo that back bit. It doesn't really affect the stack at all. It's just when the build was so close to being so easy, it's a bit of a shame that I cocked that bit up. Probably user error, but anyway, something to note. Okay, build done. That took less than an hour and a half, which is pretty good going for me. I definitely think this is the easiest build that I've ever done, and one of the easiest builds you can do. So we are keeping that theme going. And to carry on with that, I'm not going to do any tuning on it. We're just going to run it stock with whatever Betaflight is on the flight controller, All we're going to do is set up the modes on the radio and go. Now, about the frame, it's 618 grams with a 1550 milliamp battery, and that goes up to 729 when we put the Hero 7 on it, which is how we're going to fly it tomorrow. So that is pretty thick. It's a heavy frame, and I'm wondering how the stock tune is going to handle it. But yeah, that's cool. We will find all that out tomorrow. Just a couple of other things I noticed when I was building is I wasn't really too pleased about the camera placement. It does sort of stick out from the front of the frame, so I'm gonna have to try and get some kind of protection on that to stop the lens smashing on the very first crash. Also, iFlight gave me these foam feet that don't really seem to fit on the frame at all. Feels like they're made for a different frame. So I'll have to find some other little foam feet for landing pads. Okay, but apart from that, everything was awesome. I do like that T-Motor and iFlight give you tons of spares, tons of screws and rubber grommets and things like that, loads of cable options for the T-Motor stuff. Yeah, so everything there is great. Anyway, that's enough of that. It's time to test fly this thing. Well, it's gonna be tomorrow for me, but for you, it'll be right now. So here we are, an abandoned golf course. Perfect place to test fly this easiest build ever. I did have to change a few things today. I said I was just going to come straight out, but I had to just set up the DJI controller. There was a couple of settings that I had to change on Betaflight. But apart from that, I've left all the filters and everything else stuck. So this will be a as close to stock as possible test.
Why are you using the controller?
Because it makes it easy. Because the build is easier with this controller. Okay. Oh, it's actually okay. Wow, okay. Oh, there's a couple of wobbles there. I'm not going to put any smoothing on the GoPro footage, just so you see it exactly as I see it. Yeah, when you blip the throttle, there's a lot of little wobbles. Yeah, Betaflight is still, you still have to tune it. You can't just put it on stock and hope for the best. Yeah. Yeah, it's no kiss. It might also be that this controller has really loose sticks. So I feel like some of these movements might be me. Yeah, it's pitch wobbles, I think. Pitch and you're kind of both a little bit wobbly. It is a heavy quad, so maybe Betaflight isn't really well tuned out the box for heavy quads. Yeah, it's very much not locked in. Very not locked. I don't know what the opposite of locked in is. What would you call the opposite of locked in?
Free?
Open, yeah. Free. It's very free. Yeah, it feels like it kind of just does what it wants to do. Not really what you want it to do. Wobble, wobble, wobble. I mean, going in a straight line, it's pretty locked. There's no oscillations, no MTOs. So I'd say it is just tuning. There's nothing wrong with the filtering. Just need to stop it feeling so mushy. So I'll put all the footage on. Oh God, I forgot what the arm switch was. That's the problem with the new controller. So far, so average. So we're going to try something. I've brought an Emuflight firmware that I'm going to stick on there now, because apparently Emuflight is much better out the box. So that'll take 2 minutes. We'll flash that and we'll keep that stock, so that this is still going to be the easiest build ever if Emuflight delivers the kind of performance that I'm expecting. Hey little guy, should probably leave. I want to shut this now. Just like that, he's now got Emuflight on. So let's give it a test. All right, here we go. Emuflight, stock Emuflight. That's so much better. Jesus. That's completely locked in now. That's not even funny. Wow. So this is Emuflight 0.3.1, which is the latest one. Oh, whoops. I'm not used to this remote. I literally just hit the disarm switch. Nothing wrong with the quad whatsoever. Oh, it sounds like I've damaged the prop. It's so much nicer though. I can't quite get over it. This does feel quite Kiss-like. It's very strange because Emuflight is like basically Betaflight with some different settings. I just did it again. Just disarmed again and then rearmed. So I don't really understand how it feels so much better. Yeah, there's still a little bit of looseness, but it's much more locked in than the Betaflight default. It's kind of night and day, to be honest. Yeah, I'd still say it's probably like 90% of the way there towards just like a default Kiss build, which is pretty impressive for the fact that you can buy any old flight controller and stick Emuflight on it. You don't have to buy Kiss specific stuff. And yeah, this build only took me an hour and a half to make, and it flies like that. That's pretty amazing. Hats off Emuflight developers. iFlight, the frame is really nice. Like it, really easy to build. T-motor, all of the hardware worked flawlessly, very easy to connect. Very well designed layouts on the boards, no real complaints. Apart from that camera sticking out of the front. That's gonna probably get damaged. But yeah, really, really good. Let's fly it a bit more.